All right, welcome everybody to the Belzona Pump Efficiency webinar. I'm Ethan Perkins, in-house mechanical engineer, NACE inspector, project manager, sales, just about everything. Mainly I focus on the pump shops and any kind of pump work we do at Belzona, so this is my wheelhouse. So I'm excited to teach you guys a little bit about not just our efficiency coatings per se, but how our repairs are efficient. So let's get started. So before I do any other slides, if you can see my mouse, this is just one of the top cases we've done recently where we've done some of our efficient coatings inside and also on the bearing glands. We've done in my mind, a pretty efficient repair of, instead of weld overlay, we just build up the areas with Belzona paste grade, and then the client machines it down. Depending on the paste you need or your urgency of repair, this can be machined within an hour or two. So just another efficient style repair. So over this presentation, we'll go over a little bit of documentation on some of our efficiency coatings. Show you a little bit of rebuilding techniques that you normally won't see unless you're down here at the shop with us while we do these pumps. Then we're going to go over a few of our internal linings. And this is just us in the shop. This is actually me doing a little DFT inspection on the pump before we send it out, make sure everything's good to go as far as quality. So in this next slide, this is a video that came out recently that showcases one of the really cost-saving Belzona pump repairs. This was done by Belzona, Florida. This is the same thing you're going to see if you come to our shop and drop a pump off and stay there and watch us do it. But it's a really good condensed 2-minute video. So I'm just going to let that play out.
We work with heavy industrial customers throughout the states, quite varied and broad. A lot of the problems that we deal with, they're never ever the same. So that allows the entire company to come up with very unique solutions to very unique problems that our customers have. And we really get to apply Belzona technologies to solve those problems. We had one of our big customer within the state that approached us. They had one particular problem, that this pump sees processed water. The pump was heavily corroded. The corrosion was starting to damage the integrity of the equipment. And we found a unique opportunity here to help them rather than buy a brand new pump. And the solution that we offer was just a fifth of the cost of replacing the equipment. In the restoration of the pump, we utilized Belzona 1111 for the rebuilding, for the restructuring internally. And then we utilized Belzona 1381 as the coating to protect the pump from the environment. The process of repairing this particular pump involved blasting all the metal to near white metal to make sure that the metal is completely exposed. We did quite a bit of extensive testing, then took the step of decontaminating the pump. And then we started the coating and rebuilding process. The process of coating and protecting the pump starts off by rebuilding all the damage that's already within the pump. Once the pump is to proper standards, then we come in with our coatings, put the first coat, put the second coat, and do all of our inspections to make sure the quality control and the quality assurance of that job is up to our standards. Once we completed the process, we delivered the pump back to the customers. They were very excited to receive the equipment in such perfect condition, and they put it back into service, and that pump is doing its job right now. The client was very grateful. Not only did we refurbish the pump back to original conditions, but now it's protected. So we expect it to last much longer than a brand new pump.
So like I said, that was just a little quick 2-minute video showcasing one of the repairs that you'll typically see us do. As far as the efficiency I want to talk about with time, this style repair is about a 3-day repair, and that's respecting overcoat times and times before having to overcoat. So like I said in the beginning, this is not just about our efficient coatings we have. This is about efficient repairs, faster return to service, and more cost savings on you. So we're just going to kind of get into mainly the bread and butter of what we're going to do once we start our repair process. It's going to kind of go over, you know, a little before and after pictures. We're going to show you some rebuild materials that we do, and we're going to skip on into the internal linings as well. And everything that we do here is to combat the erosion, corrosion that's going to happen to your pumps, to wear them out. And we're also going to extend your life cycle. And it's not just, you know, waiting until the pumps get these bad. Send them to us brand new. We can coat them for a lot less money at that point, and you can still get even more life out of them. So you basically protect it from the get-go instead of waiting for it to lose its efficiency or lose its service. So you can see this is going to be our rebuild slide. A lot of what we do on split case pumps, we do a lot of cut water rebuild. Any pump impeller, we do a lot of vane rebuild. You can see a little before and after rebuild on the bottoms. Wear seats, we do tons of those. Lots of bearing housings. Once again, this is all a lot faster than your weld overlay processes. And I mean, a lot of these old cast iron pumps that are being serviced, it's very hard to do weld overlay on them because you have a lot of issues with starting spalling and cracking once you introduce heat to them. So this is no hot work. It's a lot easier repair and a lot quicker. And this is just another picture of a pump we've done with this is our Super Glide coating that's in it, our staple fluid efficiency coating. So you can see on the inside, we actually rebuilt these wear rings using some oversized wear rings that were given to us by the client. This was actually done overnight. So that's just giving you an idea of how fast, if you need them quick, we can get them done in a very fast manner. So as far as our internal linings, we have a lot of ceramic filled pastes, a lot of ceramic filled fluids. There's several different kinds of coatings we can use. Our staple one, of course, is the 1341 Super Glide for the efficiency, but there's also several others you can use that are either more economic for larger pumps like you're seeing on the right now, or if you got higher temperature coatings, we do have, higher temperature service. We do have higher temperature coatings that can handle that. Also, you'll see as the slides progress, we also have some more erosion resistant coatings as well for slurry pumps, things of that nature that are going to be really aggressive. And we can coat everything. You see here, we coat the bearing housings as well. As far as this pump, you can also coat the diffusers. Impellers get coated. Basically every wet area can be coated. You can even coat the wear rings with a very thin coat if you wanted to. And that's just a picture of one of the impellers we coated for that larger pump that you guys saw. Once again, every wet area can be coated. And this was all done here at our shop in-house. This entire project, once again, took about 3 to 4 days, start to finish. And I told you we're going to go over a little bit of documentation. So this is just kind of highlighting our 1341 fluid efficient coating. You can see this is just a small cutout of our chemical resistance chart. This is just more of the alkalis like your caustics and some of your alcohols here, where it's showing excellent for erosion. Excellent for immersion. And as you can see, it'll even show you like ammonia. We may not be the best for it at 30%, but we're very good for caustic soda or potassium hydroxide up to 40, 50%. So those are little charts we can send you upon request, or you can also look them up online on our website. If you have certain chemicals, things of that nature, we can tailor make a custom solution for you. And then here you see another cutout to your right. This is just showing some of the abrasion resistance. You can see 76 millimeters per 1,000 cycles on the Tabor wheel, which is outstanding for most of your 100% solid epoxy compounds. Then you see your adhesion charts along your tensile shear. Typically, we're 3,800 PSI. Your pull-offs on the bottom, it's above 4,500. We've done our own testing in-house with 1341, and we're in the mid 5,000s typically on our pull-offs. That's just with us doing it. And then also you can see the cutout. It does have some pump efficiency declarations showing to improve up to 7% by some independent result testing. So like I said, every coating we have has chemical resistance charts and spec sheets that will show this kind of information. So it's not just this one coating, it's all 115 that we have. And this is just another little test on the 1341. This was a Gould's pump. What we did, blasted, coated the 1341. They did basically a kilowatt loading of service before and after. So if you see on the bottom right chart, you do see about a 9% reduction in electrical consumption. Not only can you get more fluid flow, you can get a little less amp draw on your motors as well, which will save you money in the long run once you multiply that by however many pumps you have in your plant that are pumping for you. And this is just a little showcase of our most recent repair we've done in our own shop. This is your typical pump refurbishment right here. You see a little through wall on the cutwater vanes of this pump. They sent it to us. We blasted it back to an SP10, rebuilt it just like you saw in that video with some Belzona paste grade cloth. And we also lined it with 2 coats of Belzona Super Glide. And this whole process was done in 2 days from start to finish. And like I said in the beginning, this is just showcasing some of the heavier solids abrasive handling pumps that we have, your slurry pumps, or you might have some rock pumps that have, really heavy sediment in them. So we do have materials that are filled with ceramic carbide that are highly erosion resistant. So as you see here, this is just showing a little bit of that damage that you can have from these types of pumps. So to your right, you can see where we actually took this ceramic carbide coating and coated the inside of it to protect it from any kind of future erosion. Now, this is a sacrificial coating that will wear in place of the metal, but it will save your pump. So this is a lining that in this kind of service, we do know it's going to sacrifice itself, but is much less costly to wear out than the pump itself. And then we're not just going to talk about the pumps. We'll also talk about a little bit of shaft repairs here. Like I said in the beginning, this is not just the efficient coatings. This is the efficient repairs as far as time, cost, just across the board. It's a more efficient repair when you use us. So you can get damaged shafts due to, of course, misalignment. That happens a lot. Increased vibration. There is corrosion. There's wear. You also get an oil film loss. That happens to everybody. So these do cause problems, and they are a big pain when this happens because, of course, your machine has to come down. And a lot of times it's very costly when you have to pull the entire shaft or the entire machine apart to get the shaft out to replace it. But that's where we can come in and fix that. One of our main methods we can do that is with forming. We can either make them out of machine shop, out of plastic, metal, or we can do 3D printed now. Typically we just make 2 clamshells and we put a release agent on the inside. Once that's happened, we'll go to the client, grind the shaft down, mill it down however we can to give it a little meat for the Belzona paste to hang on to. We'll roughen it back up, and then we'll install the clamp with the Belzona paste inside of it. And typically we just allow it to cure per the instructions for use for whichever paste we're using. There's also some very fast paste we can use to where we can get you back and running within a few hours once we get on site. Like I said, it just depends on how urgent the repair needs to be. And then this next slide, you'll see this is also us doing a shaft repair in a machine shop where it was just a longer lead time to get this shaft for them. So they decided to go the Belzona route. You'll see a little video on the bottom where we built up with Belzona paste and now they're just machining it back down. And as you can see from that video, it was very easy to machine. And this is just another showcase of our forming technique. Like I said, we use our 100% solids epoxy pastes. They are corrosion, erosion resistance. So this is just showing another one of those larger formers we've made. With the newer technology nowadays, instead of making these larger ones out of metal, I try to make them out of plastic just to be easier to manage in the field, easier to carry around, things of that nature. You also need less men to hold them when they're not as heavy. So there's your efficiency again, cutting down on your cost of repair with less manpower. So this is just another repair. Like I said, the former's been installed. And then this is after they've taken it off. And from then on, they're just going to clean that up with some light sandpaper, and they'll be able to slide that bearing back on. And this is one where they actually did a field machine on. It was a bigger 14-inch diameter shaft. As y'all can see, the equipment is still hooked up to everything. The pump's just broken open. So what they've done here is, instead of breaking apart the motors, breaking all the bearings off, they're just going to leave this in situ. So what they did, they roughened it up in the field and built it up with Belzona paste. And once the Belzona paste was built up enough, they field machined it back down. And this is just another case of, you couldn't really get a former right here where the shaft was. As you can see, the pump is literally right in the way. So they were able to get this built up, and in your next slide, you'll see that's after they machined it back down in the field. This is just another one of those very fast and very efficient means of repair, especially with a lot of paper mills. We get this a lot where your dryer bearing shafts go down, your roll bearing shafts go down. It's very hard to pull the paper machine roll out. So this is one of their big ways they try to save money and time. And then we don't just do the pumps and the shafts. We can do the base and even the containment and pedestals that the bases are sitting on. This is just showing, a couple before and afters of some repairs we've done with some of our Belzona concrete materials, and also some of our acid resistant linings that can be applied to your pump bases if you're pumping something very corrosive, or even cooling water for that matter. We can coat it with something for that as well. We also do have some chalking compounds that can help you with your precise alignments. And it's good for concrete and steel. As long as we can roughen it up, we can coat it. And this is just another little before and after of a corroded pump base that, instead of ordering one and getting another one built that normally takes several weeks, in just a matter of a few days, they came in, rebuilt this with some Belzona concrete materials on the bottoms, and then use some Belzona epoxy compounds to recoat. And then even some of the feed areas where you were seeing some of the metal missing, rebuilt that with some paste grade and sanded it back down in the field as flush as they could to where your pump was able to be properly aligned again. And that's going to conclude our presentation. And like I said, guys, this is not just a presentation about our coatings being efficient. It's just the actual Belzona process itself being efficient. I'm sure most of you have tried to order pumps before, and it's not like they're sitting on the shelf ready to go in 1 or 2 days. Sometimes it takes weeks or months to even get them, depending on the size or style of the pump. But as I said before, this is something we can do normally in 3 days, 4 days from start to finish on rebuilding and relining your pumps and bearing seats. Just whatever you need, give us a call. You got all your local consultants around here. We'll be happy to come check it out, even give you a turnkey price on doing it ourselves. Once again, I thank y'all very much for attending. And it looks like we have a few questions. Let's see.
So Ethan, a few questions, 4 questions were submitted by one customer. They want to know about the efficiency gains for municipal water pumps. Do you have any more case studies? Has the efficiency gain held up over time?
Absolutely. We have a lot of case studies that are available. Also, we do have a lot of follow-up case studies where several years later, even some up to 10 years later, they've pulled the pumps, and after just a little bit of cleanup to get some residue off, the coating looks fine and still holding up just fine. The 5 years I've been here, I've seen many pumps that we've coated back in the earlier 2010s, 7, 8 years ago, where the Belzona looks just fine. In the worst case, there may be some minor touch-ups that are needed, but it's never a tremendous failure. So yes, we do have that. If you want us to send that to you, drop us your information and we can send you some more case studies for that.
Thank you. Definitely a benefit of Belzona being a 70-year company, lots of case studies.
Oh, absolutely.
So the next question that he asked is, the temperature range for some of the products looks pretty good for cooling water, but it might be a challenge for warmer water. What's the maximum temperature for service?
You know, I get that question a lot, and that's why I don't like to just tailor our lower end temperature coatings for these pumps. We get a lot of pumps in here that run 180, 190, and we do have higher temperature coatings that can handle that. Typically, our next step up is about 250 F. And then if pumps run hotter than that, we don't deal with that often, but we do see it. We do have some coatings that can take the low 300s as far as coating the inside, but it's, once again, it's just a higher end section of our Belzona materials, but we do have that capability to go higher temperature.
Thank you. Next is, where have you seen your customers deploy this result? Is it usually in a savings along with a rebuild?
You know, that's kind of a question that can be answered several different ways. There have been several times where we have helped out clients that they bring the pumps to us and say, look, we have to get this back online. Replacement pump is 10 weeks out. We don't want to rent a new pump. What can you guys do? And we quoted them jobs where for about 50% of the cost of the new one, we got it back to them in 3 days. And that blew their mind. So now every single time they have pumps that are pulled or need any minor kind of repairs, they call us first. It's the same thing across the board. And also we do see it, you know, where customers have figured out, like I said in the beginning of our presentation, let us coat it brand new and you can almost double the life of these pumps. So we do get a lot of customers now, after we've rebuilt several pumps for them, they let us coat them brand new once that time finally comes. So like I said, it could be answered many different ways. I don't look at the savings just as the amp draw savings that I showed y'all in the presentation. I look at it as a cheaper repair option versus replacing. And also what really adds up is downtime. So faster return to service. So I hope that answered the question correctly, whoever asked that.
Absolutely. That's a good option, especially with the delays in shipping that we're seeing now. So his last question are there any rules of thumb for the magnitude of the cost to install?
That's another question where there's several different answers. If you send the pump brand new and just want to line it before you put it in service, you know, a lot of times we can get down as far as 20 to 30% of the cost of a brand new pump. And like I said, that could double your life before you need to resurface it. If there's some pumps with moderate rebuild, you know, some pit filling that needs to happen, some cut water veins that need to be rebuilt, and then a reline, you're looking around probably 40 to 50% the cost of a new one. We have had some pumps come in here that were severely damaged, and they needed everything across the board: new wear rings, new bearing rings. You know, the whole pump was just pitted with golf ball size pits. They didn't have any other ways to turn. They couldn't wait, like I said earlier, 10 to 12 weeks for a new pump. Then you may get up to, you know, 60% of the cost of a new pump at that point, but it's still a much faster turnaround as far as downtime. So like I said, there's several different ways that could be answered, and I hope that was enough for you. The best thing I can do is, if you have a pump you have in mind, send me the information, let one of us come look at it, and let's figure out what it needs, and we can customize a quote for you.
Thank you, Ethan. If there's any other questions, we can open up the floor to that now. If not, we have your information for your continuing education credits. We'll be mailing those out. If you'd like to invite any of your coworkers, or if you missed any of this presentation, we'll be playing it back at 2 p.m. today. Feel free to share the invite with whoever you would like.
All right. Thank you guys for attending.